Hello, hello, hello. It's Knits for Sanity and welcome to my channel. Today, please join me for a WIP and chat. WIP stands for work in progress. So grab whatever project, hobby, craft, chore, or exercise it is that you need to do and let me just chat with you for a while. I like to begin each WIP and chat with just a brief overview of what I am currently working on. To be completely honest, there has been no change since last week's WIP and chat, which kind of tends to be the story of my life. Just busy, a little overwhelmed, and so I am not making the kind of progress that I want to be making on my projects. But just quick little recap, I am still using my new pen from Butterfly Effect Wares. I am enjoying it a lot. I'm still working on Blooming Alone, a canvas that I got from Jaded Gem Shop. It is a glorious canvas to work on. It truly is of just top-notch quality. A lot of confetti though. So each square tends to be very slow going, except for, there's been a couple of squares that it's been almost one solid color. So there are some exceptions, but otherwise it is a very heavy confetti canvas. So it does take a little while, but the effects are stunning. Still using my Mary Mud here and still using apricot sugar this week. It just seems summer appropriate. I have my drill tray from Bella Art de Nicole. My trash drill container is from Bella Art de Nicole. It is wrapped up in washi tape because however this particular resin was cut, it gives me the heebie-jeebies when I feel it. So I discovered that by putting it in washi tape, I am okay to then touch it. My cover minder though actually comes from Munimade. So this is new. This was part of their enhanced toolkit where you can get one of their trays with it, which I adore the Munimade drill trays. Well, I only have one. I wish I had more. I adore them. But she just recently became a mother, and so she could use just a little bit of rest right now. But I found this cover minder back and I thought it was so cool. So sparkly, it matches with my canvas. And then right here with the ducky sitting on top of it, this is a multi-drill tray that was from Temu and was part of my last Temu unboxing. But I have on top of it all of these little rubber ducky earrings. So way back a long time ago, I did used to make jewelry. Nothing super complicated or anything, but I decided, I think I want to give it a try again. So I have these little rubber ducky earring sets here. Just 4 different sets. They're cute. So my kids have been on me for over a year now to open up an Etsy shop. This is my closest to yellow, but it's kind of almost a green, like a green yellow. And then this one he's white. To open an Etsy shop, not just for stuff that I make, but for all of their crafts as well. And I'm considering it, mostly to me, it's the hassle of working with Etsy. And then, it's listing all that stuff again. And I have done online sales and it always seems to be a little bit of a pain in the butt. And then I have a streak for putting in all of this work, taking all of these pictures and, doing all the research for the pricing and very descriptive in, describing whatever it is I'm selling, and then nothing sells. And so I just don't know if I'm willing to put forth that effort again. I listed several diamond paintings that I was trying to destash. All of them were under retail value, free shipping. I mean, I made them as cheap as I possibly could. One of these, I was told it could cost $30 to ship it because it's so huge. So I set the price as low as I could without, completely losing money on it. I mean, I will lose money on all of these, but meaning with the books, my knitting books, where I ended up paying more than what I received to ship the books out. Trying to avoid that, and nobody bid. There wasn't a single person. And part of it is just people just aren't interested right now, and that's cool and everything, but I just don't know if I'm willing to put in that kind of time and work and then have, nothing come of it. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, they are really, really cute. If I do decide to list them, I'm thinking just, like $5 for a pair of earrings. Let me know if that seems reasonable to you. These are nickel-free hooks, in case you are sensitive. So it is nickel-free. But yeah, let me know what you think. I'm thinking about it. I got art from my oldest daughter, and I have weaving projects from my youngest daughter, and my middle daughter has like a couple of crocheted items, and we try and keep it pretty inexpensive and stuff, but I don't know. Like I said, I just don't know if it's worth it, and that's really what it comes down to. I just don't know if it's worth it to do that. So I'd be interested in your thoughts on that. But for right now, let's get started on this. Today is actually August 1st. I don't know what day it is for you when you happen to be watching this. But ideally, today I would have started on The Great Escape painting, which is what I did my unboxing for, as well as my kitting up video, which I forgot to put timestamps in that video. I really wanted to add timestamps and I forgot. So if I get a chance, I'll go back and I will add some timestamps to that particular video. But I at least think I want to get done with this row of this canvas, because then I just have like this middle section left. And I feel like, okay, I could put it away when I just have this little section left. Then, I'll have most of the paint. I don't know. The event goes for a couple of months, the Great Escape event. And if I remember correctly, you don't even need to complete the painting. So if I'm trying to remember, like you have to only get 50% of it done. So maybe I will just push ahead, get this one done, and then start my Great Escape painting late, and aim to get at least 50% of that done. I'm thinking, oh, you know what? I think I still want to use this. I'm thinking. I don't know. I'm figuring out which colors I want to put in my multi. This is a very, very, very confetti heavy piece right here. So I think we'll go ahead. We'll use these. That'll be fine. I got this. So when I last talked to you, my husband's grandmother had recently passed away, and we had a funeral to go to. And so we did that. That was last week, Thursday, for us. It was a very nice funeral. It was very, very local feeling. Meaning like it was all people who were part of her church that participated in the funeral, which I think is really good. She'd been a part of this community for decades upon decades. I'm not even sure when she and her husband moved to that area. But I know like my mother-in-law was born there. So, and my mother-in-law would have been 67 this year, maybe 66. I think 67 this year. So, yeah, she was and had been, quite active in her church, really pretty much up to the end. The last couple of years, I know, were definitely more of a struggle for her, and she did not get out as much. But because fortunately it's a good community, and because she had put in so much time in her community for so long, the turnout for her funeral was really very amazing. For a 95-year-old, I was really touched by the number of people who were there and came out and expressed their love and respect for her. And then following the funeral, we did go, it was just a small little group of us. We went to the cemetery to have her interred. And it was it was my family, my father-in-law, Dave's uncle and his wife, and then one of Dave's cousins, who is the son of the uncle, and then his wife and his son. And that was it for who went out to the cemetery. Well, and then of course the pastor. And the uncle wanted to keep it really small. For all intents and purposes, he's the only surviving child left. There is an older daughter out there somewhere, but for reasons not completely understood, she left the family eons ago. So she was not there. She has not been present in Grandma's life for a very, very long time. Sad story. We're not entirely sure what happened. Mental illness appears to be a very, 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 very large contributing factor for that. But that was I really liked going to the cemetery, actually. I think that may have been the most moving part of the day for me. Just, small group. It was hotter than hot, though. Oh, it was so hot. It was so hot. We were just pouring sweat. But I liked having the smaller group. I liked that the people who were there were all people that I knew. And then while we were there, too, we took the girls over, well, all the kids, my son too, but to see where their grandma, my mother-in-law, was buried, as well as their aunt, my husband's sister, where she is buried. And the family's all real close together. They actually moved Dave's sister after my mother-in-law was buried. So they moved Kate closer to where the rest of the family is. Like grandpa and now mother-in-law and now grandma are all kind of in the same general area. And it was kind of neat for the kids to see Kate's grave. My Veda is named after her Aunt Kate. Veda's middle name is Catherine, just like Dave's sister's name. And then I think I've mentioned it before, but one crazy little fact about it. Before we were even expecting Veda, I had decided that she would be, if we were having another girl, she would be named after Dave's sister. Well, then we get pregnant with Veda, find out it's a girl, so middle name is taken care of. Well, Kate, her birthday was January 5th. And on January 5th, 2010, I woke up in preterm labor with the child who was being named after the child who had been born 30-ish years earlier. Less than that. 25 years earlier? 24 years earlier? My math is not good, especially when I'm trying to carry on a conversation too. Approximately 25 years earlier when Kate was born on that same day. And I thought, you've got to be kidding me. I was 32 weeks gestation, or, Veda was 32 weeks gestation. They did stop labor. I was hospitalized. Then I was hospitalized again. And then finally, Veda did come at 35 weeks, which was definitely better for her, but that was the absolute limit of what I could handle. Just Sylvia, my oldest, and we had to move in with my parents those weeks, which was 70 miles away from where my husband was located because my hospital was down there and I was on full bed rest. And it was just a nightmare of a situation, and one that I would not wish upon anyone. So when I did go into labor again at 35 weeks, I waited it out at my parents' house till I was extremely confident there would be no going back. At 35 weeks, and with the stress and the strain that my body was under at that point, I thought, nope, she's good. She's coming out now. So I took a shower, I paid bills, and then I ate a light little snack, knowing I would have surgery, and until they had surgery, they wouldn't let me eat anything, so I just had a light little snack. And then I finally woke up my mom and said, okay, we have to go to the hospital. And so she took me, and my husband arrived just in the nick of time. I had to wake him up. Poor guy, you know, he's half asleep, and I'm saying, yeah, I'm going to go to the hospital. You know, I'm in labor. And he asks me, do you think I should come down? Bear in mind, he was hardly awake. I'm like, yeah, I think you should come down. So he came screaming in just in the nick of time and went in for surgery. And then there was Veda. But it was just so ironic and funny that I did go into preterm labor on what would have, you know, what was her aunt's birthday, her namesake's birthday. But I am very thankful that she did hold on for another 3 weeks. Just for her, definitely. She was able to even go home with me from the hospital. The nurse had told me right after surgery that baby would not be coming home with me. And I remember distinctly thinking, but not saying out loud, just thinking, oh, yes, she is. And she did. Now, of course, my next two, that was not the case. Both of them did have extended stays in the NICU, including my son, whose birthday is at the end of this week. It is August 5th. He was born and then actually had to be taken by special ambulance to a different hospital. And then he was in the hospital about a month, and he had to be evicted. I had preeclampsia, and so there was no choice but to take him when they did. And that was, I actually felt okay about the situation, all things considered, kind of in part because I'd been through it with my oldest. But my doctor did come in later and say to me, after everything was said and done, and it appeared that I was indeed going to be fine, she did come in and say, yeah, you really scared me. It takes a lot to scare me, and you really scared me. But, I was fine. My son did spend about a month in the NICU of a higher level NICU hospital than what I gave birth at. And that was an exceedingly difficult period of time. But then he went home, and he's been good, really, ever since. And now I can't believe it, but he's going to be 8 on Saturday already. So, and all kinds of other just absolutely, I am laying down the wrong, oh no. No, that is right. I'm doing this right. I'm okay. I have not messed up like I thought I did. Oy vey. I can be a caution. Part of the problem is I am so overwhelmed right now, and my mind is in 50 million different places. So I did have that job interview last week that I did talk about last week. And it was very, very weird because it really wasn't like an interview. It was basically like, okay, so we're gonna send you all this paperwork to fill out. Okay, and so they did. They sent me all this paperwork, but then of course we had the funeral and everything, so I didn't really get to get started on it until this week. And of course you have to have everything handed in within 2 weeks' time. And it's so much paperwork, and over half of it I don't even understand what it is that they're asking for. Or, I go to the website that I have to go to in order to get this credential verified, or to have this background check performed, or this other background check performed, or to get this identification number created for me. And, of course, half of their direct links in the documents they sent me don't actually work. But it's not bad. I can figure it out from the direct link they send me. So then, it's still getting to the right place to do it. And then you start the process of whatever it is that you need to fill out there. But there's always going to be questions involved with that. Like, I don't know what exactly they're asking here. I don't know what I'm supposed to put as my answer here. What do they mean here? It's just crazy. And the whole while I'm doing all of this and I'm still not sure, 100% sure, what my rate of pay will be. I know. You're all thinking this sounds kind of sketchy, Nits. What? Are you sure you know what you're doing? Okay, so I have a friend who directed me to this job. She does this job. But there's one big difference. She, of course, is the fully qualified person, you know, because she got a certain degree 30 years ago. And even though she's never worked in the field since, she's more qualified than I am. And she herself has said, you know far more than I did when I started this job. You know, like essentially you're more qualified now than what I was at the beginning. But again, you know, it's all in, she just happened to get the right degree over 30 years ago. But I am very worried that, see, because she got the right degree, she probably, the rate of pay that she quoted to me, I'm concerned is not actually what my rate of pay will be. She said it was, but I don't know that it is. So, and like then the organization that does your credentialing, they couldn't tell me. And they said, and we don't really want to hazard a guess either. So I'm like, what the heck? But at this point, I desperately need to earn money somehow. And teaching really did not feel like the right answer anymore. I talked about that. It's not so much the teaching. I mean, it is kind of the teaching. The lack of respect among students today is unbelievable. And some of that is obviously the home life of the students, but I also feel like some of it comes from a district. I mean, I do love our school district, but a district that just hasn't figured out the best way to handle those kinds of problematic behaviors. So, you know, I'm not going to speculate anymore on that. Just leave it at that kind of a statement. You know, I'm not saying that it's like the school's at fault either. I'm just saying I feel like they haven't quite figured out yet how to best handle some of what does happen within the classrooms. What am I doing next here? We will do this one next. So teaching just really did not feel like the best option, and the pay for substitute teaching is not great. Unless you happen to get hired full time, then it is definitely better. It's still not, you know, amazing pay, but it is better. And I have done full-time positions in the past, but I would never do that again. It would have to be under very certain circumstances that I would do that again. And those circumstances, I don't foresee them ever happening again. So, but yes, so I you know, I need a job. I need to start making money. And this is one where it's like, okay, I guess I'm hired, you know, once I get all the paperwork done. And then there's so many trainings that I have to do. So once the paperwork is done and all those trainings are done, then I am, I guess, officially employed, kind of. I mean, I'm actually an independent contract work, so I am my own employee, kind of. But I said to my husband, but at this rate, I don't think anyone's ever going to be able to give me an actual rate of pay, and I probably won't know till the first month I receive payment. And with what I'm doing, payments will come only once a month, right around the 15th of every month, and that's because what I'm doing, it is billed to Medicaid. So that is, payments are only doled out once a month because it is through Medicaid. It is being an independent supports coordinator, or technically, because I don't have the right degrees, it's an a supports broker. There you go. However, I have to do all of the same stuff. I have to do all of the same credentialing. I need to do all the same classes and courses and training as an actual independent supports coordinator. The difference is I just didn't happen to get, you know, that BSW over 20 years ago, or a criminal justice major, which is kind of crazy. Like, really? A CJ major that hasn't been used in 30 years trumps actual, like, hands-on, long-term experience working with disabled people, which I have done, but whatever. It is what it is. But I said to my husband, so we'll do this, and then maybe that first month I'll find out that hokey Pete, I am not getting paid anywhere near what's going to make this feasible, because you can only bill for up to 1 hour per month per person. So, and there is a lot of unpaid work that is involved with this. Like a lot of unpaid work. Like mostly unpaid work versus what is billable. And so it's going to kind of depend, you know, if I get the rate that my friend quoted me, it should be enough to make all of the unpaid time okay. Like, you know, you just count that in as like the whole thing. So let's say it's, you know, I only get paid technically for 1 hour, but my rate of pay is the equivalent of working, you know, for 3 hours of time. That's fine. You know, I'm cool with that. But if my rate of pay comes out that, no, really, that's only good for the 1 hour that I'm getting paid for, but I put in 3 times that amount of time, then I might have to reconsider. Especially because, you know, it is my own transportation, which I understand is, you know, a deduction for taxes. But even that's a headache. I have to figure out all of that stuff. So I don't know. I am both excited, but I remain very, very cautious with my excitement. Until I get going and I start to really understand how it works and what's happening, and until I know kind of what to expect, how much time I really will be putting in, how much time I will be required to put in where I am not getting paid. And I mean, there's some things that I already know of right off the bat, so people get an individualized plan of service, and perhaps if you are disabled, you may already be aware of this or work within, you know, social services industry, like a social work field. But it's very similar to like my kids in school having IEPs or IFSPs, which are all these individualized plans for a person with a disability. And it's just creating goals. And as for IPOS, it's more about creating life goals for them. And every year you have an annual review of that, and I am expected to attend. I don't get to bill for it, but I have to be there. Or sometimes, even though it's for adults, there are a lot of 18 and 19-year-olds that are still in high school, and they do still have IEPs, and I am expected to attend those, but I can't bill for that. Plus any additional outside of the hour face-to-face time that I have with them every month, there will be more that I will have to do for this person that I won't be able to bill for. You know, anything that goes beyond that hour, I cannot bill. And so, you know, I'm a little bit nervous, but we'll see. We'll see. My friend really thinks that it's worth this initial hassle of trying to figure out the paperwork, trying to figure out the insurance, and, you know, going through this huge rigmarole of everything. She thinks that I would be very, very good at the job. She thinks that I am a very good fit. I hope she's right. Otherwise, yeah, I may get that first paycheck and go, whoa, I put in, you know, I only want to work 15 to 20 hours a week. That's really all I can handle with our schedule. And if I'm I put in 25, 30 hours of work, and it's I got paid for 3 hours of work for a week, that's not going to work out well. So we'll see. We'll see. Or, you know, obviously the other concern is getting too emotionally invested, which I do struggle with. I do tend to do. You know, believe it or not, autistics actually tend to be we tend to actually have very, very large empathy. And several studies suggest that we actually have very, very large empathy. And of course, we don't do well with boundaries. And so I am definitely kind of worried about that. That is something that I have struggled with in the past. not necessarily just job related, although I mean that's happened obviously, having been a teacher, especially in special ed as well as alternative ed classrooms. But with my friendships and stuff too, I tend to get very emotionally involved, and just setting up those boundaries, creating those boundaries, where realizing, you know, there has to be a limit. Like, yes, I need to care. Yes, it is my job to make sure that this person is going to be okay. But at the same time, you know, I cannot have it be such a huge expense on myself and my own family, my children specifically. So we'll see. There's just so much into this that does, like I said, I am cautiously optimistic. It's a lot of rambling about this job. But as you can see, this is something that has been very heavy on my mind. Very heavy on my mind. This past weekend, changing subjects now, this past weekend we got together with my family, like the whole family. So that includes both of my sisters, and then of course my sister's 3 kids, plus her fiance and her fiance's youngest son. And then my cousin, I have one cousin that is not a little bit different from like a regular cousin. His parents died when he was still in his 20s, and his dad was my dad's only sibling, his older brother. And so this cousin then only has one brother, and that brother married into a pretty large family, and they live in Wisconsin. And so this cousin usually joins us for all holidays and stuff. And my kids actually refer to him as uncle, which just is easier than, you know, it's, especially when they were little, it was still a way to like show like that kind of respect. Like, this is a closer relationship than normal than just calling him by his first name. But better than trying to explain that, well, no, actually he's a first cousin once removed. So we just call him uncle. And that was all fine and dandy till about 2.5 years ago, when I did not realize that my middle daughter didn't understand that he was actually my cousin. Like, she was trying to figure out, like, how is he my uncle? Because as far as I know, my mom only has sisters. Maybe, you know, my youngest sister, I call her Roscoe. I mean, is Auntie Roscoe married to him? I don't think so. As far as I know, Auntie Roscoe isn't married, but like, she was so confused. So then once I figured out that she didn't understand the relationship, I explained it to her. And then I made sure that for sure my other daughters understood the relationship. No, he's not actually an uncle. He's technically a first cousin once removed. But it was a pretty nice get together. It was quite warm yet over the weekend. My nephews though had just come back from a camp, and so they were really tired, kind of cranky, so they didn't stay. Well, the older one didn't stay very long, but that's okay. You know, he's another 13-year-old, so you know how 13-year-olds are. I mean, if you don't, you can ask me, I can tell you. I'm trying to think. Why did I bring up that family get together? There must be a reason. There must have been something that happened that I thought I wanted to tell you about. Maybe not. Maybe nothing did happen. I don't know. Yeah. So this weekend is my baby boy's birthday. He has been doing the countdown for over a month. I should have made this kid a countdown calendar, and he could have crossed off a date every day. But you know what? I really didn't need to, because he had it all figured out in his head. He knew every single day. Well, you know, now we're down to 35 days. Now we're down to 22 days. Now we're down to 11 days. Well, now we're down to, I don't know, it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so 4 days. 4 days, and it's gonna be my baby boy's birthday. 8 years old. Oh, time flies. Anyway, he is super duper excited. What he wants for his birthday more than anything else is a game called Pikmin 4. It is a video game. He has also been talking about that non-stop. He is within listening distance, so I can't talk any more about that right now. But we'll just have to wait and see if he is able to get that for his birthday. I don't know. But yeah, he adores this video game. And as a special treat, I was able to track down the parent of a friend of his from school, whose birthday actually is tomorrow, I guess. But he's been talking about this little friend all summer, and that he wants to get together with this little friend. Well, I was able to track down his mom, and so yesterday I was able to arrange a play date. So Thursday he's gonna go see his friend. We're just gonna meet up at a park and then maybe go for ice cream afterward. But he will be really, really excited about that. This week, the children resumed doing schoolwork again. I make the children do schoolwork every summer because I am that mean mom. I want them to go back to school and be successful from the get-go. I want them to be those kids that are kind of sitting in class like, yeah, I already remember all of this. So I do make them do schoolwork every summer. And the other thing that they're supposed to be doing, but they're not doing a very good job at, is they're all supposed to also be writing a paper. I wanted them all to write a paper this summer. They all need a little bit of added guidance with their writing skills. Well, and of course, writing is like one area that I actually am very, very qualified in. And they've all kind of just not been doing it, but we'll see. Daughter number 2 is starting to think ahead to the next wrestling season. So fun little story. I don't know how many of you have watched the show The Middle. The Heck family in imaginary town, Indiana, Orson, Indiana. Sorry, I'm chewing ice. Well, my husband and I had started watching that show when we were expecting my son. So it would have been the summer of 2015. So the show was actually starting to come toward the end, because I think it ended in 2017. But we didn't have TV or anything, It's just like the first season was on a really great sale for DVD on Amazon. And back then we couldn't stream anything. Like, internet was really not at the point that we could stream at our house yet. And so I was always looking for great deals on DVDs or Blu-rays that we could get to watch things. And I believe the first season was on this really great sale, and everyone had, these great reviews and said it was super funny. So I went ahead and I bought it. Well, my husband and I watched the show and just fell in love. It's the one show that we watch and we go, oh my God, who put a camera in our house? Seriously, who is filming us? Well, I went ahead then and I kept buying the next seasons for up to what was available. And we continued watching that. I'd buy the next season when we could, and then we'd watch it. And so we got to season 3. I believe it's season 3. So I'm rewatching the show now, and I think I'm in the 3rd season currently. Yeah, I am. It's season 3. And so back in the day, probably about 2016 now, we're watching the 3rd season. And in the 3rd season, that's when one of the main characters, the daughter, Sue, who is a freshman in high school at this point, she starts something called the Wrestlerettes, which is kind of like a cheer squad, but for wrestlers. Well, already at this point in time, Veda was in kindergarten, and she already adored wrestling, just adored wrestling. And I remember watching this back then, having my infant son with us in the bedroom, watching the show, laughing like crazy, and thinking, I can't wait till I can watch this with Veda, and feeling quite confident, surprisingly, that she would still really appreciate it several years later, meaning she would still enjoy, or at least have some kind of a connection with wrestling strong enough yet that she would really get a kick out of it. Well, guys, a couple of days ago, I called Veda over and I said, there's something I want to show you. And I have been looking forward to showing you this for a lot of years. And I didn't tell her what it was. And she's like, what? What is going on, Mom? What are you talking about? So then I started playing that episode. And she's like, oh, you're talking about a TV episode? I'm like, yeah. And she'd watched several of the episodes already, with me since I started rewatching it again. So we did watch a couple of Sue being the wrestlerette, and she gets her wrestling boyfriend. And I don't know, it was just kind of one of these like surreal experiences where it's something that I had envisioned doing with her. She's going to be 8th grade. So now 8 years ago was kindergarten. So I envisioned doing this with her almost 8 years ago, more than half a lifetime ago. I had watched this and I thought, oh, I can't wait to do this with Veda when she gets older. And so now here we are, and I'm doing it with my daughter, showing her these funny wrestling episodes. Episodes that involve wrestling in some capacity. And it's just crazy. It's kind of almost like a Twilight experience. I'm trying to figure out the best way to explain it. I'm just hoping you've had a similar type experience. And I think actually we're going to make that the community question this week. It's kind of a harder community question, and it is definitely a bit more personal than what I normally ask. But, have you ever had an experience where either like a deja vu experience where you're suddenly like, hey, I feel like I've been here before, or something like this where you envision something happening and then it does happen later on, so maybe a goal that you've had and then it's like, wow, I can't believe it. That actually did happen. So maybe, a pet that you wanted, or a job that you wanted to have, or even something crazy like me, envisioning watching this show with my daughter and then finally doing it. And just the fact that she's still so into wrestling. And so these episodes are just so funny to her, and we are able to do this together. Sorry that like I said, my son is within earshot, and he's playing with large blocks for some reason.
The Lego blocks.
Yeah, they're like these super huge Lego block things that he's playing with in the kitchen for reasons unknown. Oh, he's now moving them to Daddy's office space, which that's a carpeted floor, so that should be less noisy. Okay. But yeah, so that's my community question today. Like I said, it's definitely something that is different, but I hope you'll play along, especially questions like this. I really love reading what you guys have to share. I learn so much. I learn more about you. And I really like that. I like getting to know you guys. Truly, I really do. I enjoy getting to know you guys. So anyway, but with watching these wrestling episodes, that's gotten Veda to start thinking about this coming season. Which I dare say, other than, some comments here and there about different things, it's summer, especially July, August, tends to be kind of like a no wrestling zone. July, August, September tend to be like no wrestling. Like I said, sometimes we still talk about things, or like there is a clinic going on right now at the high school, and so she did put out a message like, hey, this is Veda and I'm telling you guys to go to this. So other than like some stuff like that, but otherwise it's kind of like a no wrestling time, which I always get really sad about. If I could have my way, I would watch as much live wrestling as I could, just because I really, really, really love the sport. My daughter probably would too, if she could just watch. She does kind of get sick of working every time she's watching live wrestling. So like her high school job is what her high school job. I mean, it's a volunteer being the manager / junior coach of this team. And last year ended up being a lot of work for her, just a ton of work. And she needed me to help her out. Like, there's no way she could have done it without me there giving assistance. And for both of us, especially if I am working more this coming season, for both of us, we're gonna have to figure out, she's gonna have to figure out a way to help ease some of her obligations there. And a big one for her, and something that would actually help keep things a lot more enjoyable for her, will be if she can find somebody else to film, especially Saturday tournaments. Saturdays are, they tend to be very long tournament days. She's the only one who can film. And then every time she's had somebody else film, they don't do a good job. and they don't. I mean, my daughter, hands down, is the best at filming. I know it's crazy. Even though she'll hand the camera off to a high schooler, they just don't understand how to film. They're way too far out, or the angle's all wrong. I mean, Veda does the best job. So then what would happen is she would let someone else film, but then when she goes back through to then upload these videos, she's watching the videos and she's like, oh, this video is crap. So then she gets really angry and she feels like, oh, I knew I should have been recording. And she was only, 12, 13 years old last year. She does not need to be putting that kind of stress on herself. But Saturdays just get to be too much for her to spend the whole day filming. And so what she really wants is to find someone else who can film, especially Saturdays. If they could come along for Wednesday night duels and film, that would be nice too. But like Veda said, Wednesdays aren't so bad. She does okay with Wednesday. Especially Wednesdays are always duels. It's never an individual event. But Saturdays can be individual events. And so then you have this poor girl running all over this gym nonstop, trying to catch as many bouts as she can. And she gets exhausted. And sometimes, I'll help her out and I'll record some on my phone for her, because inevitably you'll have 2-3 kids going at the same time and it's impossible to catch all of them. And she just gets tired. And then of course the kids, I feel bad for her because the kids never recognize how hard she's working. But this girl is on the run all the time. She's running all over the place. And then someone gets mad because she missed that so-and-so's bout has already started and she wasn't there filming. And they just don't put together that there's only one of her filming. And there's depending on the individual tournament happening, there can be even more than 14 kids wrestling that day. And there's just no way for her to keep up with it all. So she really wants to find someone else to help film, especially for Saturdays. And that's her goal right now. And she has somebody in mind. I did ask her about a friend of hers. I said, I think so-and-so might actually be pretty good at this. Unfortunately, this friend doesn't live super close to us. I've mentioned that our school district is almost 200 square miles, right? Well, this friend is not close within that 200 square mile radius, but, I am more than willing to get her on Saturdays. I'm always picking up other wrestlers, and I'm giving rides constantly to kids. And I have picked up wrestlers at 5 o'clock in the morning wrestlers that don't live near me, and I have to drive down to their house and get them at 5 o'clock in the morning and then turn around and head the other direction, so I go an hour out of my way, well before dawn in a blizzard. Yeah, that was January of 2022 when I had to do that one. Thank God we all made it there safely. We were only blown off the road almost once. We didn't, but we were close. We almost, anyway. So I told Veda that. I said, I am fine. We can go and get her. That's just fine. Most of our tournaments, unfortunately, are in the opposite direction from where this girl lives, but there are a couple, maybe one, as I'm thinking about this. No, maybe two. There are 2 tournaments that are on the way. So yeah, actually, it is definitely inconvenient, but I am totally willing to do it. She's a nice girl, and it would be so good for Veda to have that additional assistance. And then ideally, if she does find someone, and especially if this friend does work out, she can spend more time concentrating on keeping score, which is what she does enjoy doing. And the reason why you need to keep score on paper, in addition to, they do it all mat side there on the computer now, and it's all fed into this program called Track Wrestling. But the scoreboard people don't always know what they're doing. There's discrepancies, and so ideally you should have one person on each team keeping score as well, and then you can kind of compare and get it figured out. And then later on, the coach can go into Track Wrestling and put down, well, what was this penalty point for, or more specific stuff. So that's why you should also always have somebody keeping score. And Veda enjoys doing that, and it's something that she wants to get better at. So especially on Wednesdays, if someone else could film, because you only need one person filming at duels. So if someone else can film, and Veda has done filming and scorekeeping simultaneously, but that's difficult, because then you can't really follow the bout. Then you have to just set up the camera and hope that it's a really good angle and that the kids don't do anything crazy that takes them to the edge of the mat or off the mat, So ideally, you should not have to film and score at the same time. So we'll see. I hope it works out for her. She did have a little bit of kind of a very minor interaction with her favorite college wrestler a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you've been following along. I've mentioned this young man in the past. He seems to be an introverted, nice guy. But anyway, it's Will Luan. He is going to have his last year of eligibility for college wrestling, and the University of Michigan put together a little short or reel that was on social media just to kind of hype up for the season, and it featured him and his takedown abilities. And it was a nice little short, and I just sent a message to him on, really from both Veda and me, saying essentially like, we're so excited for this coming season, No, I didn't. I reposted it. That's what it was. I actually reposted it as a short on Instagram. So maybe you saw it. I reposted the short or the reel, and I just said, can't wait for next season and excited to watch, this young man's final year of college wrestling, something like that. And then I tagged him in it. And he actually sent a message back saying he's really excited too, and he can't wait to see us at the duels. And so I read that to Veda. I showed Veda Like, yeah. He said he can't wait to see us at the duels. And Veda, she like throws herself back on the bed. We were sitting on my bed when I showed her. She throws herself back on the bed. She's like, yep, and I'm gonna be there. Just all giddy and happy. It was cute. It was really, really cute. And yes, we probably will be there. She talked me into getting season tickets. So we have season tickets. Which, okay, so here's kind of the kicker. Wrestling is a very inexpensive sport to like attend the event. That I think actually the season tickets cost more than just buying the tickets individually. At least that's how it worked out last year. Like, it's like a $4 difference. Like, I think last year you would have spent $4 more buying the season tickets versus just buying all of the tickets individually and going to every single tournament or duel. Yeah, so, but the advantage to the season tickets is then I don't have to think about it. It's just sent to me automatically. And now Veda can also say that she has season tickets, so that makes her happy. And you know, for $4, or we'll probably miss one event, so $10. I paid $10 extra per season ticket, the two of them, so $20. So for $20, my daughter can say, yeah, I got season tickets, and I don't have to worry about thinking, oh crap, I forgot to purchase tickets for this event. It's just gonna come to me. It's worth $20 for me. There you go. So that is the wrestling update in our life right now. You know, last WIP Chat, I did not talk about wrestling at all. And you guys, you got a little bit spoiled because, as you know, wrestling usually comes up. Wrestling usually makes an appearance in this house. The other thing that Veda is thinking about doing, and I'm really encouraging her to do because I think it would be really fun and really cute, is I want her to do like a Veda Bug minute where like she takes a video and she just records like 1 minute of interesting wrestling fact or opinion or something. I just think it would be really cute and fun. I mean, she's so smiley and she's just so into the sport that I think it would be really, really fun. But she's not sure, you know, she's thinking about it. She's 13, and she's 13 and she's very, very introverted and struggles with self-confidence because we're 13. But she'd be so good, and I think it would be really, really fun. So if you have anything that you want to say to Veda about that, please definitely write in the comments below and with encouraging words. I've actually asked for a lot of feedback today, so I hope some of you give me some feedback between opening up an Etsy store. You know, what about $5 for some rubber ducky earrings? I'm going to make gummy bear earrings next. Just, you know, a little preview. Rubber ducky and gummy bears. Gummy bears would be $5 for a pair of earrings too. As well as, you know, like the deja vu or a dream coming to fruition or like a premonition actually happening, something like that. Then, of course, Veda and any words of encouragement that you may have for her. You know, she's 13. We're struggling. We're hormonal. We get moody. Very, very normal 13. We're figuring out life. And she's just, you know, she just feels like she isn't really worth much and she really doesn't have much to offer, but she does. And that's the thing. She does. She's a smart kid. She's engaging when she wants to be. You know, she's very engaging. She is great at communication and she adores the sport of wrestling. So but of course I'm mom. Do we listen to mom? No. Did you listen to mom when you were 13? I know I didn't always listen to mom when I was 13. But other people offering support, that's totally different. Totally, totally different. It's just the sad fact of life. As those of you who are parents of teenagers or have had teenagers know all too well, I'm sure. And I'm just slowly plodding away on this canvas. I wish it were done. Like, I'm really, 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 really enjoying it, and it's beautiful, and it is, I mean, it is amazing, but I don't know. I'm kind of to the point where it's like, I really want to start that next event. I don't do very many events every year because I don't do well with like the constraints of things. I don't do well with that. And, but I like this one event. I like this one a lot. I don't know if you can still actually sign up to be involved with it at all, but it is being hosted by Mickey of Mickey Sunshine Creates and Rebecca of Crafting and Crime Daily. Both are wonderful women, and it's a good group of crafters. Anytime you have a bunch of women together, I feel like there is the potential to have some cattiness happen. And that fortunately, I feel like in the crafting community in general, that doesn't happen very often. I feel like there's like a certain kind of like sisterhood present there that is really, really special. But with this particular group in general, I just really appreciate them. We don't necessarily agree on everything, and that's okay. Like, nobody makes a stink about it, which is my big thing. Like, you may have an opinion, and I have no problem hearing your opinion. But if someone comes back and starts really arguing against that opinion, that's when I start feeling like kind of uncomfortable. Like, unless we're dealing with life and death, factual stuff, like someone saying, well, I believe that by putting your hand on a hot burner, you will live 10 years longer. And so I make my children do this. Well, okay. If I know someone is making their children put their hand on a hot burner, that's child abuse. And so that's a little bit different. But otherwise, even if you're an adult who says, so I put my hand on a hot burner and I'm going to live 10 years longer, I may think you're crazy, but you're forcing yourself to do this. Like, this is completely on you. So that's fine. Like, I will leave it alone. If I happen to have a one-on-one conversation with you at some point and it kind of comes up, I may try and offer some little helpful advice or push a little further. Like, why do you believe that? What has led you to this conclusion? What are the results that you have seen since you've started doing this? Like, do you wonder why your hand is unusable now? Like, do you maybe see a connection between the two? But, otherwise, just leave it alone. Just let people have their opinions and just leave it alone. Anyway, that's kind of like my big, I guess, the most political speech that I've had yet. So, yeah, there you go. But I am done with today's WIP Chat at this point. We will see if I'm going to be able to upload it. We have had some interesting internet times lately, which is why sometimes you'll see like a flurry of videos come out from me. It's because I finally had internet access. So it's like, quick, upload all of them. And you can delay when a video is released on your channel, but I don't like to delay it too much because then I forget about it. And like, I already assumed that I put the video out, but I didn't actually put the video out. Anyway, it's just me being my neurotic self. But if you've been following along, you know at this point that I do tend to be a little bit neurotic about some things. So, yeah, I think that concludes everything. Again, please, please, please give me your opinions and ideas in the comments below. I'd really appreciate it. And I have not asked for this in a long, long time. But if you could remember to like my video and consider subscribing to my channel, I would really, really appreciate it. I don't like to nag on that fact because the fact of the matter is my channel is never ever going to become so large that like there's any kind of profit to be gained from it. I just do this for my enjoyment and to connect with other people. But sometimes I feel like I should become that standard creator, like content creator, and be like, hey, you gotta like and subscribe. But please consider it because it makes me feel valued. If nothing else, it does make me feel valued. Like, oh, somebody likes me. Kind of like Sally Field when she got that Oscar, was it an Oscar award? And she's like, you like me, you really like me. And then everyone totally trashed her, even though I completely understand what the woman was saying. Anyway, I am like way off on all these different tangents. For those of you who listened to the very, very end, I am going to have you do something now. All right. I want you to drop a funny emoji or GIF or GIF, depending on how you say it. You know, GIF, the peanut butter company, says it's GIF, but everyone else says it's GIF. So I think the peanut butter company is just wrong. But drop a funny one of those below. Don't say anything else. Leave a different comment to comment on the other stuff. Just drop a funny emoji. That would be really nice. I mean, I guess you could comment with the funny emoji, but I like being able to just scroll through and see like funny emojis. Just because I'm curious, because toward the end of this video, I started getting really, really crazy. I'm not sure what happened, but I don't know. The caffeine kicked in. That's what it is. I just finished drinking a large afternoon coffee. The caffeine kicked in. I'm feeling better now. That's why. There you go. All right. So finally concluding this, like I always say, and I truly, truly mean it. And that's why I do end every episode with this, no matter if I'm doing an unboxing, if I'm doing a WIP Chat, if I'm doing a completion reveal, a tutorial. I always put this in there because I mean it, and it's something that I try so hard to live my life by and to remember, and that is to just be kind. The fact is, everyone has a story, and very, very few people ever know an individual story, and it can be argued that nobody knows your story except you. And therefore, I have no right to judge what you may be going through or are experiencing or have been through. And therefore, my only job is just to extend kindness. And so please practice that little bit of extra patience, practice that little bit of extra kindness. It will go a very, very long way. And I fail at this. I know that I do, but I try, and I continue to try, and I continue to try and improve and get better, because everybody deserves to be shown kindness. And I hope that you are shown that same kind of kindness too. And I hope that you're having a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will see you again real soon.